everyone, and welcome to another episode of the NBP, the Nordic Leblock podcast. It is Sunday, November 24th, 2024. It is episode numero 20. Oh, that's Nordcast. Almost said 80. It is numero 29. I am your host here, Nordic, with my other host, Leblock. Leblock, how we doing?
We're doing great. Doing absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful Sunday.
That's great to hear. Let's get into a long list of topics. We're not going to waste any time because we have a ton of stuff that we need to get through here. So let's start off with the firing of Jim Montgomery that happened this past Tuesday. Jim Montgomery was fired by the Boston Bruins after going 8-9-3 to start the season. Keep in mind, 8-9-3, and they were still in a playoff spot when Montgomery was fired. Joe Sacco has taken over as the brand new interim head coach. He coached Colorado from 2010 to 2013, was the assistant coach in Buffalo from 2013 to 2014, and he's been with the Boston Bruins for an assistant coach since 2014 as well. I think it's about time for Sacco. He got a chance at the head coaching role, but for Montgomery, I'm not sure if it's really the right decision to let him go. I think it's a mix of, the team having kind of a rough start and just, that's the easiest thing you can do.
There always has to be a scapegoat, and unfortunately, Jim Montgomery is this scapegoat. I feel like much more falls on Don Sweeney for the team that he constructed, by the way. Underperforming. I think Montgomery, you look at his record, his tenure with the Bruins. If you show me that and not that season record this year, I'd say you'd be an idiot for firing Jim Montgomery. I get why he did it. It's probably for reasons that he's probably looking out for his own best interest, his own job. Even some of the players went to Sweeney and said, hey, we might need a change behind the bench as well. So I don't really agree with the firing of Jim Montgomery, but this is a business after all. And everyone seems to forget that it is a business.
It's the easiest move you can make. It's way harder to move players or even fire a general manager than it is to fire a coach. And it's crazy that Montgomery doesn't at least get a little bit longer of a leash, considering the fact of how much regular season success they've had. Playoff success, not really, but regular season success, he's been pretty solid. I wish I had his tally up here right now, but he had a very good record in Boston. I think I had a .715 points percentage during his time there. And I think I agree with you. This lies on a lot more of Don Sweeney than it does Jim Montgomery, because let's look at the Boston Bruins in the playoffs in the last, I would say, since Don Sweeney came into the league, so the last almost 10 seasons. You look at how many times they've made it past the second round. Once. Sweeney came in the 2014-2015 season. The first 2 years, they did not make the playoffs. Then they lost in round 1, round 2, the Stanley Cup final, round 2, round 2, round 1, round 1, round 2, and so far, they have not made the playoffs yet, obviously, this year because it's early. But again, the playoff success has not been there under Don Sweeney. When do you realize maybe it's Don Sweeney's fault instead of the 3 Jack Adams Award winners you fired since then?
Yeah, I have Montgomery's tally up here right now, actually. He had a 120, 41, and 23. So that's 120 wins, 41 regulation losses, and 23 overtime or shootout losses. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for, I think, he was at 3 year. This is coming up on his 3rd year as the Bruins head coach.
Yeah, I think that it's I still don't comprehend it to this day. You look at the players, and let me pull up their numbers here real quick. Keep in mind, these numbers are going to be a little bit outdated because these were when Montgomery was fired. At the time when he was fired, there were only 2 players that had more than 10 points. Elias Lindholm was signed to a big contract in the offseason, has had only 9 points. up to the point of Montgomery's firing. Mason Lohrei and Brandon Carlo, one of the D pairings on Boston, is statistically one of the worst D pairings in the entire NHL. The entire NHL. They are third in highest goals against per 60, which is not a good stat. So I would say that like it's been all in all a struggle for everything in Boston except for that fourth line. And again, we've mentioned that before in our I think we talked about the Atlantic a bunch last episode, but like it just hasn't been there with hardly any of these players. And you see guys like, Matthew Poitras get barely an opportunity and then get sent down to the minors. You see someone like Nikita Zadorov, who I swear to God has taken a penalty in every single game he's played. You see a guy like Charlie Coyle, who only has 5 points. Somebody like Pavel Zacha, who last year really flourished under, I would say, Boston's. He flourished being that first line center.
Yeah.
He was with Pasternak and Marchand, I think, at the time. And since then, he hasn't been good. It's very concerning seeing how these guys have performed. I don't think that's all in all Montgomery's fault. I do think there is some fault there with Montgomery. There's fault with everybody. Montgomery, it lies on Montgomery, it lies on Sweeney, it lies on the players. But I don't think Montgomery was really the main reason why they've been struggling. The players have been struggling. And I guess you could say, maybe, the players should perform better or Montgomery should solve the players' problems. I don't think that's all Montgomery, though. That's a player mentality thing. So, again, I don't understand them. I don't understand the firing. They are 2-0 under Joe Sacco right now, but they've also played 2 teams who are bottom 5 in the NHL right now.
Yeah. Just not a great start. Not a great start, but Sacco, as of this recording, has looked pretty well. The players have responded pretty well. I think McAvoy, even put it very well that Montgomery's firings on the players.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Block.
You're just because on one of our previous episodes we talked about coaches that might be fired soon, and I know I brought up Montgomery, and you were very hesitant about it.
I was because I just don't like. I feel like if you're gonna fire him, he should have a longer leash than 20 games. Look what he did the last 3 years. He lost. How many games did he lose?
He lost 41 regulation games.
That's insane. In what, 2 seasons, 3 seasons?
Yeah, 2 seasons and 20 games. So
that's insane.
I know a lot of teams would kill for that. Kill for those numbers. And
yeah.
And I'm just gonna bring this up. The coaching lifespan in the NHL is almost at an all-time low.
Oh, I agree.
I agree. You look at the average GM tenure. The average coach tenure is 2 years.
It's pretty crazy when you think about it. When earlier on in the league's history, it definitely was a lot longer. Only 2 seasons. It just shows they have way. It's again, like I said at the start, it's easier to move a coach than it is to move players.
Yes, and usually a coach and look at the regime as a whole. The coach usually, in most cases, goes first.
Yeah. So again, we'll see where it goes for Boston, but they're probably going to end up making the playoffs. Yeah. They're going to end up winning out. Well, not win out because it's an 82-game season.
That'd be crazy.
I wouldn't rule it out. It's Boston, but they'll end up winning, over 50% of their next 40 games. Sacco will get the Jack Adams and then get the interim tag removed, and then he'll be fired at the end of the next season because they didn't make the playoffs or whatever. But again, it's a repeating cycle in Boston, and I think that if they don't make the playoffs, then I think Sweeney probably is gone because it's been long enough.
I even think if they're a first round exit this year, Sweeney's gone.
That's very possible too.
I really think his leash is getting shorter by the day.
It's been 10 years almost, and you have made the finals once. You've been past the second round once. Huh?
Yeah, pretty much. But as for Montgomery, we know what his future holds.
Oh, yeah. Less than a week later, he has been hired by the St. Louis Blues. Drew Bannister, who was named the head coach, um, or was taking the interim tag removed this past offseason, has been fired. So I kind of feel bad for Bannister. We'll start off with Bannister first before we get into like how Montgomery really benefits this team. But it sucks for Bannister because he came in last year with the interim tag. I thought he did pretty good. He had, I think, above he was putting up playoff pace numbers. Just the team was too far back, and Vegas, they were fighting with Vegas for that last spot, and it wasn't good enough. And he did get them a lot closer than we thought they were going to. And then this year has just been a disaster, absolute disaster in St. Louis. And I think we talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this on. I might have talked about this.
I know we mentioned Bannister. I think we also mentioned Bannister being a candidate for a guy who might be on the hot seat. But I was talking about that at the end of the year, not now.
Yeah, I wasn't really like all for it because I felt like it was so early. He didn't even coach 80 games. I think he coached like 76 games or something like that. Like he barely coached a full season of hockey. So it's pretty crazy that he kind of gets the short end of the stick. And it sucks for him, but I'm sure he's going to get paid in some way. I mean, like, come on. He's probably getting paid. As it goes for Montgomery, I mean, like, they get a good coach, has a great track record. He's definitely going to have his hands tied. Maybe not his hands tied. He's definitely going to have a interesting job there in St. Louis for sure, because St. Louis is not the Boston Bruins. They don't have the players that Boston did, but they do have Kyrou, they do have Thomas, they do have a good young core that they may be building there. Just I'm not really sure about that goaltending. I'm not too keen on that blue line either. I don't know.
I'm gonna be. I like what you're going with the future, but I'm gonna say as right now, this team is not good.
Yeah, I feel like they have some positives, but like they don't have offensive depth. Their blue line is injury prone, and Bennington has been regressing.
Yeah, and like I don't want to say like it's hopeless, but like Montgomery will give them a push. I just don't think it's gonna be like a playoff push. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so either. I think that it's gonna be really similar to what Bannister did last year. I'm gonna be honest. Bannister, like Montgomery, is going to push them. They may make it in. I mean, the West. I haven't even really looked at the wild card race in the Western Conference, but I got it
up. I got it up right here. If you want to talk about that, right now,
well,
St. Louis. Yeah, I'll just go ahead. St. Louis has 19 points in 22 games played. They are only 5 points out of a wild card spot right now. The last wild card right now is Edmonton at 24 points.
The other thing you can mention there too, I have it pulled up also, is every single team except for the Oilers have games in hand on them. So
yeah, like it's
a little difficult,
tough hill to climb.
But it is early, so it is very doable.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that a lot of those teams, like I would say, most of those teams that we're looking at that are above them aren't sure playoff teams. Besides Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, that aren't in a wild card spot. Utah, I think we said it in the offseason, like, oh, they could. Anaheim, I didn't expect them to be that high. They're only 500. Seattle, also only 500. And then Vancouver, I don't really know what's going on with them. Seems like they have a couple struggles going on there, but they are just outside of
they're also beat up. Like, they're very beat up right now.
Yeah, they're very injury prone. Miller left to a personal absence. We'll talk about that later on, but yeah, again, I think that St. Louis, it's doable. Again, if they win one more game, if Utah doesn't win tonight against the Leafs, they will be tied with Seattle in that race. But overall, I think that it's going to be a climb for St. Louis to get it done. And you're battling with, I would say, 4 very good Central Division teams there to get into a spot. So we'll see if they can do it, but I wouldn't put money on it.
No, I wouldn't either.
Okay, let's move on from Jim Montgomery as a whole and talk about Alex Ovechkin. Ovechkin was on an absolute tear before his unfortunate injury on Monday, and I think we talked about this on Sunday. Did we? We might have.
We may have mentioned it, yeah.
But
Excuse me.
Ovechkin since then, since our last episode, scored I think 5 goals in 2 games.
Yeah.
2 against Vegas, or 3 against Vegas, 2 against Utah. He's only 26 goals away from breaking the goal record, and then he got hurt off of a play from Jack McBain. I'm just gonna say, like, it's not dirty. It's not like, it's not a dirty play from McBain. It's just kind of like a shitty, unlucky play, I would say. And as a result, Ovechkin has suffered a fractured fibula, and he is out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation there. Like I saw the knee on knee there. Like there's nothing there that's like really like how to put what's the word I'm looking for here? Intentional. Like not
Yeah.
like there's no intent there. There's no intent to injure there. So like this is a sport of hockey. Guys get hurt. It happens.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's Ovechkin, but yeah.
Isn't it weird how whenever like a player's like trending up and doing so good,
They get hurt. Yeah,
Like
that's
it feels like that happens all of the time in the NHL. But it does suck. I think. Do you think that it's possible he can break the goal record this year, even with the injury?
we'll be back in what January.
So he's out 4 to 6 weeks as of last week. I would say mid-December, late December.
Okay, so if he's late December, if he can get back to his pace he was on, perhaps.
I think it's possible. I think he can get it done. It's just a matter of if he comes back, if he's that same person.
How many goals away is he now?
26.
Oh yeah, he could definitely do that.
So if he were to come back early as possible from what we got the injury, he would come back the week of the 16th of December. If he were to come back at the latest, is what it says, he would come back at the very end of December.
Yeah, I still think you can get 26 goals by the mid-April. Yeah, that's possible.
You're only missing a max of 1, 2, 3, 4. He's already missed a couple. He's only missing like a max of, I would say, maybe 10, 15 games. It sucks. I think if you have those 10 to 15 games, he breaks the goal record, and he breaks the goal record by maybe even like February, honestly. But just with this injury, it really does limit things. He's gonna break it. We know he's gonna break it. It's just a matter of when. Either it's this season or it's next October or next November. But I don't know. It really sucks.
How much would it suck? You're like, oh, he gets 25, or like it's one off. He's got to go back for, and then the first goal of the next season would be the record breaker.
Oh, that would be. We would wait all season for that.
That first game, Caps game would be like money. Like that'll be so much money to go to. Kind of like, I want to relate it to like how when LeBron broke the scoring record.
Yes. Yeah. Is he gonna do a speech like LeBron?
I don't know. Like I feel like the scoring record, like in basketball, that was a big deal because like it was untouched for like over 50 years almost.
Well, the goal record's been untouched.
I don't know if they would stop the game. I don't know. Maybe he would. Maybe
there would definitely like a
I think they would standing ovation. There'd be like a thing on the screen. I think the other team might go over and like shake his hand. And that's really about it.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be like a speech. And what is he going to say? He's not. He's like, first off, he's Russian. He can't. I mean, he has good English, but I mean, like, is it? I don't really know if it.
You know, Ovechkin probably has some of the best English, like for a Russian player I've heard.
Oh, for sure. Well, that's because he's been in the league for like almost 20 years.
I mean, so is Malkin, and Malkin has broken English still.
Malkin's different. Malkin's a different breed than Ovechkin. I gotta say this though, for him to be, well, at one point he was leading the league, but for him to be right now third in scoring, in goals at 39 years old has got to be one of the most impressive things I've seen. He has looked terrific to start this season, and I don't think people have given him enough credit, honestly.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna ask you this now: if he breaks it this season, does he retire?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think he won. If the Capitals win the cup, then probably. I think he wants to go play in the KHL. a little bit.
I think I on like I meant by retirement like leave the like I mean like done with the NHL.
Maybe.
Because I feel like if he breaks the record this year, Caps go far in the playoffs. They say they get out conference finals. Do you think? I think he could come back to that. If the
Yeah,
Caps
if they go
are
to the conference finals, then I think he's gonna be like, yeah, I want one more. I'll come back for another.
yeah, but like if the Caps are a first round exit, I can see him hanging it up.
I mean, I think he could stay for a while.
He
Like, I
could.
mean, you like he's scoring at this pace at 39. What are you gonna do? Go to the KHL? That's the only other option, really.
I tore up the NHL, and I'm going to tear up the KHL.
Yeah. What's the goal record in the KHL?
I have no idea.
Hang on.
I have
Hang
no
on.
idea what it is.
KHL all time 351. Man, he shattered that. Is it really only 351?
Who's
That's
who's
kind of
who holds the
crazy.
record?
Sergei Mazyakin. I don't think he's ever played in the NHL.
Yeah, that'll be weird. It'd be weird, but I think we should get back on track here. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on to some other news around the NHL real quick here. Let me just write this down. Sorry. So starting off in Vancouver, we talked about this a little bit. JT Miller is taking a personal leave of absence. It is reported that it is linked to a shoulder issue. According to reports in the province, the leave is not related to any form of alcohol or substance abuse. Had for the most part about a mental reset. It likely had to do with a lingering shoulder ailment, which has hampered Miller's performance since the preseason. So really sucks there for Vancouver. I mean, you already have someone like I said Marcus Pettersson, Elias Pettersson struggling. You have Demko hurt.
Besser.
Besser's playing though, isn't he?
No, he was out. He didn't play last night.
Well, yeah, just seeing the amount of injuries and how beat up this team is, it's pretty impressive. They're only 1 point out of a wild card spot right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you could call it what it is. I'm gonna call it that player who just needs a mental rest, needs the shoulder to heal. Like playing with injured sucks. Like I don't know how to put
yeah.
any more kind of that. Like if it's lingering and you're playing on it, if you take a bad hit, you're gonna make it worse too.
Especially if it's the regular season. If it's the playoffs, then I'm like, okay, you're putting your
Yeah,
body
no,
on the
if
line.
it's the playoffs, it's different. But this is the regular. This is the regular season. Like I
It's
know.
all the beginning of the season where it's kind of meaningless, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. So, hopefully Miller will come back okay. Did you see the Winter Classic jerseys for
I did
2020? Which one do you like better?
Chicago.
Okay, yeah, that's very clear. It reminds me of one of their old vintage jerseys. St. Louis's is literally their one from 2022, but just St. Louis.
It's like oh, I didn't do the homework. Can I copy off yours, but don't make it as obvious?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Chicago's like I love it. I love it. It's honestly one of the better Winter Classic jerseys I've seen in the past couple of years. St. Louis is like it's not bad, but I'm just not a fan of it.
Yeah, it's kind of. I feel like it's very bland, in my opinion. But
And I'm not. I'm just, before I say this, I love the cream jerseys when they come up for the Winter Classic, but like enough's enough.
enough's enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that the Winter Classic is on New Year's Eve?
It's on New Year's Eve.
Yes, at Wrigley Field
Yes,
on
a
New
new.
Year's, not New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. I remember last year it was like January 3rd.
Yeah, like it used to be a New Year's Day thing. Now I don't know why they keep switching it around because I feel like it's because the NFL really because the NFL used to stop in December. Now it's going into January,
Okay, I
and
guess so.
it's
I
for
remember. No, I remember the one year New Year's Day was on NFL Sunday, and I was like, okay, I get switching it then,
New Year's
but
Eve is a Tuesday, so I don't get it. The NHL proves once again their marketing is in shambles.
it's always been in shambles. It's
But it's
all
getting worse. That's the issue.
yeah. The Frozen Frenzy was horrendous. Nobody even knew about that until a week, like
After it
the
was over.
yeah, honestly. It's so the NHL needs to get better at marketing. I feel like that won't change until Gary Bettman leaves. Hate to say it, but
It was funny. Gary Bettman was in Ottawa for the Oilers game, and he called the CDC a beautiful facility. Brother, are you okay?
only Ottawa,
That building's 30 years old. Like that building's 30.
only Ottawa fans will get that reference.
Yeah.
Other news. Mike Riley is set to be out for months with a heart procedure. So the operation will deal with a previously existing heart condition during recent unrelated testing after his recent concussion. GM Lou Lamoriello said it was picked up through the different echocardiograms, I should know these words, that you go through with any post-concussion situation. Probably a blessing in disguise of what transpired. They detected something that you're sometimes born with, but never know it. So, best of wishes to Mike Riley in recovery. That's definitely a good thing they caught it, because it could have turned out to be something much worse. And hopefully, he doesn't try and rush back to the NHL because of something like that for sure.
Yeah, no, your health is the number one thing you got in your life. Once it's gone, it's gone. So you got to take care of yourself.
Yep, 100%. Brett Howden has signed a 5-year, $2.5 million contract with the Vegas Golden Knights. This is a pretty interesting deal. It seems like Vegas is just locking up their core. And by their core, I mean all of their roster for the next 5 years.
Howden's really turned himself around in Vegas. I will say I've always been a big fan of him when he was with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Him on Vegas, like he's been a good player for them. So I like the contract. It's good for him. It's good for the team. So yeah.
The next, all of the players that they have on this team that are expired that have a contract through 2027 is Thomas Hertl, Ivan Barbashev, Brett Howden, Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin, Zach Whitecloud, Brandon McNabb, probably Jack Eichel when he re-signs, probably Mark Stone when he re-signs. This core is just completely locked up. Like this is going to be their core for the next, I would say,
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be it. A lot of their depth pieces do expire, so I would expect a lot of 5-year contracts coming up. If you guys are wondering, I'm kidding, obviously. Alex Nylander signed a 1-year, $775K deal with the Maple Leafs. He was previously on a deal with the Marlies. He's been tearing it up with Toronto, but also LeBlock. I don't know if you've noticed, but Toronto is absolutely injury deprived.
Yeah.
Deprived right now. They have so many injuries. It's insane.
Matthews, Kyle Youngcroc.
They have Matthews, Domi, Nyes, Kampf, Yarncrook, Pacioretty. Just it's a long list, and they have guys like Fraser Min, Nikita Grabankin, Alex Steves, and Alex Nylander called up to the roster right now. Guys who were planned on to be AHL players who are in the NHL right now. Even though I do like how Grabankin's played so far and how the back check, forecheck, paycheck thing has become a staple in his career. So that's it's pretty cool there to think about. But yeah, again, Toronto's injury deprived. It makes sense why Alex Nylander was called up. Sidney Crosby reached 600 goals, the 21st player in NHL history to do so. Congratulations. You have more goals this season than Tristan Jarry does starts. Oh. So great job. That was an unnecessary jab at him there. And then lastly,
the Strays are insane.
Pavel Datsyuk signed a 1-day contract with the Red Wings to formally retire a Red Wing. So I thought that was pretty cool. He did get inducted to the Hall of Fame a couple weeks ago, but good to see him retiring, and best of wishes. Then maybe we'll see him with Detroit more. I know they have a night planned for him soon, but
yeah, I don't think his number's retired in Detroit yet.
I think that's what's happening.
Yeah,
is it? I have no idea.
I don't know if they're gonna. They should kind of like. I mean, the thing is, the Red Wings. I don't know if this is a thing, but they don't like to retire the Russian numbers who's played with them. Like Sergei Fedorov's number is not retired, yet no one can wear his number.
I think that's
That
there's more to the
the
story
more to the
there.
story there. Yeah, I that's something with the Illiches.
Yeah, probably something's going on there. Okay, before we move on to our next topic, LeBlanc, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Who is better, Connor Bedard or Matvey Michkov?
Oh my God, this guy.
This is
I'm gonna go Bedsy still. I mean, like I'm gonna hear me out here. Matvey Michkov has players on his line. Bedard is carrying an entire offense.
I guess that's true. I'm gonna say this though. I don't. I still think Bedard's probably better too.
Like,
People just see how he struggled in his sophomore season and are like, "Oh, Michkov is better."
yeah, like Michkov is having a really, really good rookie season. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just trying to discredit Michkov, but like you talk about like I think of Bedard and Michkov. I always think of like the future. I don't think of like right now. I think of like what's up ahead for them.
They are the future of this league. Those
Mm-hmm.
two players, but it's really been an argument in Flyers land, and I thought that real quick before we move on to our next thing, I thought I'd get your input there because it's been talked about so much. But let's move on to something that LeBlanc loves to talk shit about: the Detroit Red Wings. Kidding. Maybe. So the Detroit Red Wings have absolutely struggled to start this season. LeBlanc, I don't think you know how bad this team has been.
I have not.
Okay, let me
Wait.
read off some of these analytics for you before you start and share your piece. So the Red Wings right now are 8-10-2 for 18 points. They are 26th in the NHL. Before their game against Boston, before their game, their numbers have gotten a little bit better, but before that game, they were tied for third in least goals scored. They're last now. They were second least in 5v5 goals. I'm pretty sure they're last now. They have the worst penalty kill in the NHL. They have, I think, the sixth worst goal differential. They have the second least amount of shots this season. And when you tally up their shots, they're only averaging 20 a game.
Yeah, I knew that part.
This
Uh,
team has been horrible. They're lucky that there are only 2 games below 500 as well.
I don't want to be. I don't hate to say I told you so, but
Oh, here we go.
I told you so.
I told you. I knew he was going to hate on the
But
wing.
but but the thing is that like I didn't expect Cam Talbot to be playing as good as he has. If Cam Talbot has not been playing as good as he has, this team might be last.
The goaltending has been a massive positive for
Mm-hmm.
this team. Talbot looks good. Lyon looks solid too. He has a pretty good stat line. That's your tandem who was horrible last year has been good. Everything else that was good last year has not been good this
Yeah,
year.
like who would have thought the goaltending would like in the offseason? You told me the goaltending was going to be this team, the backbone of this team. I probably would have laughed at you. I'm not gonna lie. I probably would have out loud laughed at you.
Well, you got Sens legend Cam Talbot, who LeBlanc already is not a fan of as it is.
Listen. Why couldn't you be doing that in Ottawa? Why couldn't you be putting up 926? You had to be putting up 870s, huh?
I'm pretty sure you've said that in an episode before.
Well, I'm gonna say it again.
100%. But going back to the negative from the positive, first off, another positive before we go to the negative. The power play's been also pretty good too. I think
Yeah.
it is sixth in the league. I think the majority of their goals a lot of their goals that they have scored, not the majority, have come from the power play, which shows like how even worse their 5v5 and PK stats are overall. They only have, I think, 3 players that have scored more than 6 goals this season.
Yeah. I will say that some more positives. I will say Lucas Raymond and Dylan Larkin have been looking really, really good.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Apart
Larkin,
from that, the offense is dried up.
yeah, but Larkin's taken another. Larkin. I think Larkin has been really, really good this year. Like he's taking a step forward almost.
I
And
want to
then
talk about the line.
blue line, yes, that's what I was getting to. The blue line is, I'm gonna say, it's very, with all due respect, in shambles.
It is horrendous. I'll be even worse. It's horrendous. It
Yeah.
is. Outside of the first pairing, which has been very good, by the way. I think Edvinson's had a good season. Cider looks like Cider. Outside of that, it has been garbage. You can't sit here and say to me that they were trying to make the playoffs when they constructed this blue line.
Yeah, there's no way, and I think Red Wings fans will tell you that too.
I still, and I know we've talked about it so much, the Jake Wallman trade will never make sense to me.
It just makes sense to me now. Won't make sense to me then.
The only way that it will make sense to me is the fact that Wallman went to the Red Wings and said, "I want to be traded. I don't want to play for this team. I want to be traded."
Like,
That's
that's
the
the
only
only
way that
reason,
it
yeah.
makes sense. Even then, I feel like you could have gotten more for him.
You could have gotten a second for him. You didn't have to give the second with him.
Yeah, I don't. It makes absolutely zero sense. Apart from the fact that they wanted to free up cap space. It's the only way I could look at it. But still, you could get future assets back for it. I don't understand. I don't understand at all. And Ben Sherrod and Jeff Petrie, like, how are we going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, that's a playoff blue line?
It's not. I feel like it's not. They have guys in the pipeline. I get that, but like your
They
time is
need.
now. Like I was the message last year. Your time is now.
It's been too long. This is going to be the ninth year, right? Since they've made the.
If they miss, it'll be 9 years. Yes.
That's insane. It's crazy. I think their second longest drought.
Yes, behind Buffalo.
Yeah, just like it needs to improve. And I think that well, first off, do you think there's a chance that Derek Lalone gets let go?
Yes. Not. I think I just this last episode.
You did say this.
I feel like it would happen after Christmas.
There are people who really do believe it's going to happen soon. I haven't seen anything that says to me that Stevie Y and Lalone's job's on the line.
I do want to say that Stevie Y he's sitting pretty. He's like when I think this is a problem when you bring in like GMs who played for you. Like
Yeah,
he's sitting pretty. It becomes a boys club, and like I will say, Stevie Y is also one of the most stubborn individuals as a business person.
I agree. I
So
think it's going to change though at some point.
so unless ownership goes to Stevie Y and says you need to fire Lalone, he's not going to fire him.
Probably. Probably, honestly, and I think the Illich family has also been very uh, patient.
They have been patient. They've I find the Illich family only time they really meddle. They meddle with the Tigers. They meddle with yeah, just Tigers. That's it. They really and Tiger like you know what? Here's a blank check. Go do what you want.
I also think that like I think something really does need to change here soon because I feel like people are tuning out to the Red Wings too, because there was a time frame where Detroit sports was not particularly the greatest, and now you see the Lions are doing really good. They just beat the Colts today.
Pistons are
Um,
on the come up.
yeah, the Tigers just made a really good run. The Pistons actually look like they're heading in some sort of direction.
Direction, yeah.
Well, at the very least, the Pistons have won more games than they had at this point last year, so
Yeah.
that's a big plus. Remember that 26 game losing streak they had, and they only had 2 wins,
Yes, and they beat the Raptors. I remember that.
and they still didn't get first overall.
Yep.
They got like the
Fifth.
team that was like ranked 15th in the NBA stand or the draft lottery
Yeah.
standings got first overall. I don't understand, but going back to hockey again. People aren't paying attention to the Red Wings anymore as much as they were other teams because of how bad this team's been for so long. Something needs to change, and soon.
Yeah, and I feel like here's the thing: if they fire Lalonde and then they get a new coach next year, and the same problems are still persisting, it's not going to be a GM, a coach that goes. It's going to be a player.
Yeah, most likely this core is gonna get shaken up.
And that's
Possibly.
something. And that's something I resonate with a different team. We're going to talk about later. But
Yes, we'll get into that in a second. But again, Detroit, something's gonna give soon. I think if we see a couple more losses in a row, and if we see like not good offensive performances, I think that Lulon probably gets let go. I will say this though: if they bring in someone as the interim and this team actually absolutely explodes, don't be surprised either. It always happens.
yeah, but there's of course Detroit's like tight with rumors. But like, there's nothing. No rumors that say Lalone's lost the room or Lalone has
No, exactly. There's no rumor. There's nothing really there.
like with Montgomery. We heard the rumblings.
Yeah, with Detroit, it hasn't really. I think Detroit's really. I haven't really heard rumors about Detroit at all, to be honest. Like, the last like couple of seasons.
Getting on Detroit, they're sealed tight. They're like Fort Knox, like a big safe in a bank. Like,
Yeah, they are. All right, let's move on from the second longest drought to the third longest drought. The Ottawa Senators are having yet again another brutal month of November. So, LeBlanc, would you like me to read the Ottawa Senators November so far?
I know it, but yeah, sure, go ahead for the viewers.
Okay, so the Senators in the month of November so far, they started off with a game against the Rangers, where they lost 2-1, close game. Then they shut out Seattle 3-0. Then they dropped two straight, 5-1 to the Islanders, or 5-1 to the Sabres, 4-2 to the Islanders. Then they went to Boston, won 3-2 in overtime, which is again Boston, another story. They play Toronto, they get a shutout. That was last week. Again, it's Toronto. They play Philly. They blow like a 3-1 lead, I think, or a 4-1
They
lead.
blew a 4-2 lead, yeah.
4-2 lead, and they end up losing to a team that only had like 18 shots. Then they got shut out by Carolina 4-0. Then they lost to Edmonton 5-2. Then they lost to Vegas 3-2. Then last night they lost to Vancouver 4-3, which results to a record of only 3 wins this month. So that's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 3, 7, and 1 to start this in the month of November so far, if my numbers are correct. And LeBlanc, how are you feeling? This is the usual November we see.
Honestly, I don't want to say I'm numb to it, but I'm numb to it. Like I'm expecting bad Novembers for the. It's the same stuff every single year. Like it's the same thing, but like I think the fan base is on fire right now. Like the fan base is divided. They saying like blow it up, like strip chuck at the captaincy, trade everybody, fire Green. It's just the fan base. I feel we're just so sick of the same thing every single year. It's frustrating, and like the worst part is the players look like they don't care. Like it's just a paycheck to them. But it's just some of us, especially in this small market, this is literally all we have.
Ottawa only has one pro sports
Yeah.
team besides, I guess, the CFL.
Yeah, so this is so some people in this community, this is their whole life. It's Ottawa Senators hockey, nothing else. And like the players, like I feel like the most criticism comes with Brady Kachuk and how I feel like he's handled this season. Tim Studio is balling out. It looks like he's the only player that actually cares about winning right now. Some of the players, you feel like they're not giving you their best hockey. And it's another thing of bad coaching decisions. And I'm not the one to like exclaim fire the coach already. I'm not at that point yet, and I probably will not be at that point until the following season.
Yeah, because Green just got there.
Green just got there, so I'm giving Green off the hook. But here's the thing: you switch the GM, you switch the coach, the same thing is happening. You know what's going to happen? They're going to trade somebody.
It's got to happen.
Who's going to be? I don't know. And I'm not going to lie to you. At the end of the season, I fully expect if this is where we're going to be in the NHL, we are currently 15th in the East. We're second last in the conference.
This team has never been able to start off hot.
Yeah, right now we would if the draft already happened today, we would be number 5.
It's another. It feels like we've been saying this for the past 4 years at this point, and I think 4 years ago, sure, we were fine with it because that was like the bubble year or whatever. Sure, okay, this team's still building up, but we're at the point where like again, Ottawa, if they miss, it's going to be 8 years.
8 years, correct? Yeah.
So again, like it's kind of the same thing as Detroit. Like it's a much shorter leash, and I think that something's got to give here with Ottawa, and I think that a trade is likely to happen because I thought they solved their problem. or one of their problems in the goaltending, and the goaltending hasn't been exactly.
Goaltending's been like it's been. I don't want to say Allmark has just been inconsistent. He's been over this stretch of games. He's just been not good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I think that there's going to be a trade.
Like
Who it is
yeah,
is going to be the big
I'm
question.
gonna. I really. I hope it's not Baverson. I hope it's not Norris. I feel like it would be. It would be. It's a dumb decision, but I feel like Zub would be a prime candidate to get moved. Baverson could get moved. He would get we get a haul for him, but I wanted to put the other. If people are like, oh, trade Kachuk, trade like you trade Kachuk, it
The rumor was
doesn't solve the problem.
no, it doesn't. That's your
Say
captain. I don't really
yeah,
know if like again, like maybe like I see a lot of people questioning Kachuk's leadership, but I don't think that really will change.
and like I want to say Brady Kachuk crashing out at the end of games that was fine back in 2021, 2022. In 2024, 25, I'm getting pretty sick of it. Like we're getting pretty sick of seeing Brady Kachuk crash out at the end of games when they're losing. And after he left the ice last night, they started scoring. They scored two quick ones. It's just it's a song by Led Zeppelin that is being thrown around now on Sens Twitter. The song that remains the same. That is the Ottawa Senators because it
Yeah.
remains the same every single year. Watch February heater. I'm calling it now. It's the same shit every year, and I feel like this is where it's gonna happen. If they're this bad, if they're bottom five in February, that's I don't want to say they're going to blow it up because Ottawa still has to owe the NHL a first round pick. Logically, you can't tear it down.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other. We can get into that, but again, I think that you're at the point where this team has been developing this core for so long. They they went from the point where they had one of the best prospect pools in the NHL to the point where they have one of the worst.
Mm. And like
Just
I
because
do,
all the guys have graduated, and it still hasn't changed. They're still not being able to finish strong.
and I still put this blame, and I'll always put the blame on roster construction on Pierre Dorian. You look back at it, he wasted 3 first round picks if you count Tyler Boucher.
Yeah,
Boucher, you traded for DeBrincat, that became Allmark, and then you traded for Chikrin. Then that became Nick Jensen. So roster construction fail. Started drafting well. Not now. I'm not gonna put it on Steos. Steos is doing the best he can. It's his first actual year on the job.
I think Steos has made good moves.
I think he's made good moves too. I think he's done what he has to do. Is they have to put it together. And I want to say, if they're this bad by the deadline, expect to see guys like Giroux on the block. Expect to see guys like maybe an Artem Zub on the block. You could see even if honestly Brady Kachuk, if he requests a trade, they'll trade him. Won't like it, they'll trade him.
I don't know where you go after that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
like if you're trading guy, you're bit. If you trade Brady Kachuk, once again, you don't win any trade. You trade Brady Kachuk in. I want to make that very clear. Brady
if you're
Kachuk, he's a
essential.
He's a captain. He's the leadership of this team. He scores. He hits. He's a unicorn basically.
Is he the longest tenured senator?
Shabbat is longest tenure senator.
Okay.
But yeah, um, it's a mess. Though I'll give this. It's early.
It is early.
Uh,
They
Just
could
like,
come out
just
in
like
December
yeah, just like
and everything could
Detroit,
change.
it's early. Also, Ottawa, this 5 stretch of games they've had, they've been tough games. Outside of Philadelphia, who they probably should have beat,
Yeah, they should have beat
Vegas,
Philadelphia.
Edmonton, Vancouver, and Carolina. Those are all tough games.
Yeah, they're playing. I will say this: they are playing some of the best teams in the league. If they lose tomorrow against Calgary, then I think I don't know, and then they
Yeah,
have San Jose.
I'll be at that game, and that means they lose to Calgary. That's 6 losses in a row.
Yeah, it's not a good look,
Yeah.
but they are in a stretch where they're playing a lot of really good teams. So I will give you that. But I also want to say that two of those games have been on back to backs. Like the other team has been on a back to back, no
Yes,
matter
and
what.
that's the one thing where it's like Though I said Edmonton we were losing because Ottawa team gets pummeled on back to back. Oh, they have Ottawa, then they beat Ottawa. It's always how I'm just used to it now. It's always how it works. Um,
Yeah.
Ottawa is 6 points out right now. They're trailing Boston right now in that last wild card spot. They have 2 games on Boston.
If they
If
do win out in November, they are tied for a wild card spot.
so, if
15 games left though.
yeah, if they beat, I think they're playing Calgary. What are they playing? It's Calgary, San Jose, and LA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can get 3 out of those 4, sorry, 2 out of those 3, you're good. But right now, if they lose to Calgary, if they lose to San Jose, that's a big red flag.
It's a big wake up call. I would think.
Yeah. And I feel like honestly, if you're a player in that locker room, and you've been here for a while, you think this is fun? Think every November this is fun? So it's not fun for us. It's not fun for the players. It's not fun for the organization because it's the same thing. And I'll repeat myself, but it's the same shit every year.
I'm gonna say this. I'm looking at the month of December. They have a lot of winnable games in December. They play Anaheim December 1st. Then they have Detroit. Then they have Nashville. Then they have the Islanders. Then the Ducks again. Then they play the Hurricanes. That'll be a harder game. Then they have Pittsburgh. Then they go on that
9-game road trip at night.
Yeah, the 9-game Western Canada West Coast road trip. So what's crazy is too, December 14th is their last home game of 2024.
It's because they're hosting the World.
January, almost
Yeah,
a month. Of not
yeah. Well,
being
they're hosting the World Juniors in Ottawa. That's why it has such a long one. I get it. Because they'll probably after that Edmonton game, they'll probably have a break.
Yeah, they do. They have the whole week off. They have from that Sunday the 22nd to the 28th is when their next game is. So they have a whole entire. They'll probably go back to Ottawa and spend Christmas with their family.
Yeah.
We're talking way in the future, but again, for them to get to that point, they got to get better. It's got to get better, 100%. Okay, so I want to bring out one more thing before we wrap up this episode. LeBlock, the Utah Hockey Club right now are losing 3-1 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Currently, Utah stands at a record of 8-9-3 for 19 points. They are 24th in the NHL. Do you think that there's a chance that Andre Tourigny may get fired?
I want to. Here's the thing: Ryan Smith, the owner of Utah, is such a wild card. Like he's so. If you told me he got fired tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think it might happen.
He's such a wild card owner. I'll be honest that the Iginla pick, which we've talked about. I think that was Ryan Smith saying, "Hey, pick somebody. Pick. I want a sexy pick. You know what I mean? I want someone who like a flashy pick. Yeah, I want a flashy pick." So Ryan Smith, he's very involved with the Jazz and with the Utah Hockey Club. So him being fired is not out of the question. I don't think it's at the level of other guys we're seeing, but his seats definitely. The coals are being lit, like the charcoals. Yeah, I feel like if they're gonna go down this path, like I always say, wait till Christmas. That's when usually a lot of head coaches are let go. Is like in December.
Let me pull up Utah's schedule real quick and how November is done for them. It is actually it's arguably been worse than Ottawa. They have been losing a lot. They have lost. If they lose tonight, they will have lost 4 of their last 5. And just I think that definitely it's gonna get heated up because again, it's been a while since they're in their first season. They want the team to be successful out of the gate, and I think that maybe that will trigger a firing possibly. But again, I think they do wait till Christmas because I don't know if you want to let go of a coach that fast when you're in the first year of your team. But he has been there for a while in Arizona prior. But again, just seems like the team is not faring very well. Okay, that will do it for us with the Nordic Leblock podcast. Block. Anything else you want to talk about first?
Do you like nachos?
Yes.
W. All right, that's it.
That's your final thought?
Yeah, nachos.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Nordic Leblock podcast. Thank you guys for watching or listening. If you enjoyed, please subscribe on the YouTube channel. Please follow on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Follow the MVP and NBP on Instagram and Twitter. And that'll do it for us. I'm Nord, that's Block. Thanks for watching. Have a good Thanksgiving if you're American. And we'll see you.
Or in Canada, we call it Thursday.
Yeah, we do call it. You do call it Thursday. But we'll see you in the next episode.
Ciao.
I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Man, I just do what I do. To know about you, I just do what I do. Check. That's the intro. See that? Yeah. I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Yo, check. Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. I am close to divine. Know the moment is mine, need no omen or sign. I'm sprint. Providing a back sound to all the squares that ask around. Be getting it. My skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Me now. Tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I take it as mine. I'm selfish. Yo, will. Tell Miss I'm on my wealth tip. So when we cash out soon, I'm just investing. No yes men. I've been a legend since before mom and dad had me and was best friends. I chew through comp, don't test them. I chew on tracks cause after that I bless them. I just do what I do. You see me? I just do what I do. I just do what I do. I don't know about you. I just do what I do. Check. I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Feel me? I just do what I do.